Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you guys about a common argument that I hear from socialists or leftist-leaning people when they try to explain to me the historical failings of socialism in the Soviet Union, China, Venezuela, Cambodia, and a bunch of other countries. They will typically tell me that that what we see in those countries was not pure socialism, that it was some perverted form of socialism. And my counter argument is, well, let's go back and look at the beginnings of socialism in those countries, and let's look at the Soviet Union, just because its history is so well known and documented. Socialism in the Soviet Union started off as a workers' revolt. Okay, all the workers were going to basically take over the factories and the land, and they were going to become co-owners. Okay, and everybody was going to be equal. Okay, so that seems purist enough, doesn't it? Right? You can't get more perfectly socialist than that. Well, I then invite these socialists to please explain to me how you get from that socialist utopia to mass arrests, mass executions, and sending people off to gulags to be starved to death to the point where they are cannibalizing each other. Okay, and I never get a very good answer to that. But here's the problem with socialism. Okay, it really comes down to human economics. Humans are driven by two economic forces. On the one hand, they're very lazy. On the other hand, they're very ambitious. Okay, you can usually overcome that laziness. Okay, with incentives. Okay, if you give people enough incentive, a lot of them will work harder. They'll produce more because they want to advance. They want to, they want to benefit. Okay. However, if you take away the incentive, okay, they fall back to being very lazy. And what happens in a socialist economy is that you get people competing, to see who's going to work the least. Okay, because nobody wants to be the fool that's working harder or working more to get the same benefits. Okay, so what ends up happening really quickly is that you get decreasing material productions and also decreasing food production. So in a socialist economy, you cannot provide incentives for people to stop producing more, because then that's not socialism, right? Because now you would have some people being able to advance because of those incentives. So you can't have incentives for people to produce more. So what you're left with is, everybody's capped, at a certain level. You can't increase the production. So now what has to happen is you have to decrease the population to the level of the food supply. Okay, and that's exactly what happened in the Soviet Union in the 1920s and 1930s, as well as many of these other socialist countries. Okay, and that's really unavoidable, because you're going to have that drop off in food production, and you simply cannot feed the people. I mean, you start off with food rationing, but ultimately you have no other choice other than to reduce the population. So that is the inherent fault of socialism. There's really no way around it. So that's my question. That's my question to the socialists. How do you avoid this? Okay. How can you, if you look at a place like the Soviet Union that started off as socialist utopia, okay, and then from there proceeded to gulags where they're starving people to death, how would you avoid it? And the answer is there's no possible way to avoid it in a socialist utopia. So even in its most pure form, socialism starts out a certain way. It's going to end up with mass executions. I mean, it's simply unavoidable. If you guys got anything you'd like to add, any other ideas, please put them in the comment section. Give the video a thumbs up, share it, so we can spread the word around. One of the problems with the schools today is they're not giving people this information. Okay, they're putting socialism out there as a form of perfect human equality. Okay, and they really don't teach people, about the gulags, about how, somewhere between 30 and 50 million people starved to death in the Soviet Union. And the interesting thing is that during the Great Depression, right, you had a socialist movement here in the United States, And they were pointing to the Soviet Union and they were saying, oh, look how great they have it over there, okay? That's because the Soviet Union basically had a complete media blackout, and the people over here in the United States did not know about the famine that was going on in the Soviet Union. So they thought that socialism was a great idea here in the United States during the Great Depression, and that's how we ended up with the New Deal that has basically bankrupted this country beyond repair. Okay, I'll talk to you guys soon.